I've got a confession to make. I only have one anime on my yearly Christmas movie rotation. I know to some of you that will sound like a total betrayal, but honestly, when it comes to Christmas, most anime just doesn't do it for me. Don't get me wrong, there are some really good Christmas-themed episodes of anime and anime set around Christmas, like Punchline, but most of them don't hit what I'm looking for in my holiday entertainment. Most Christmas episodes are more focused on romance than anything else. The Toradora Christmas episode is a perfect example. I love the series and that episode especially, but it's not something that I feel compelled to watch at Christmas specifically, not the same way as A Christmas Story or Home Alone or Christmas Vacation or Die Hard. As a godless heathen, it's probably a little weird that I've got such specific demands for my winter solstice entertainment, but I grew up in a culture that made a big deal of Christmas, and so I associate a lot of warm, fuzzy feelings with a very specific kind of entertainment. It is what it is. And thus far, there's been exactly one anime movie that's properly delivered on what I want. Tokyo Godfathers, a masterpiece from Satoshi Kon that is as close to a perfect Christmas movie as you can get. But this is the first year in a while that I've felt like I might be able to add some more anime to the schedule, because Netflix is celebrating the season with Christmas specials for two of their original anime that I absolutely love, Sanrio's Aggretsuko and the American-written Production IG-produced parody Neo Yokio, both of which are internationally focused productions that stand a better than average chance of capturing the Christmas spirit in a way that might suit my very Anglo-centric tastes. So today I'm going to be seeing how both of those Christmas specials fare and deciding whether I want to make them part of my annual holiday tradition. And then I'm going to cap things off by discussing why I love Tokyo Godfathers so much. And man, I could just frame that as some high-minded way of explaining what I look for in a Christmas movie, but honestly, I'm just looking for an excuse to talk about it. Before we can get to that though, we've got to decide whether or not Neo Yokio Pink Christmas deserves the big Toblerone. This has got to be one of the strangest Christmas specials I've ever had the pleasure of sitting through, and if you know anything about Neo Yokio, you were probably already expecting that. The original show takes a ruthlessly satirical look at New York high society through the lens of weird 80s anime tropes. It's at once a loving tribute to the likes of Ranma Half and Speed Racer, and a vicious teardown of a culture that worships at the altars of Gucci and Prada. Starring Jaden Smith as Kaz Khan, a prep school demon hunter, and Jude Law as Charles, his mecha butler, who is piloted full-time by a very short, very abrasive woman named Sadie. It's a strange series, but it's a series that at once critiques and shamelessly celebrates commercialism. And that makes it near perfect fodder for explaining the real spirit of the season in 21st century America. A spirit that more or less has nothing at all to actually do with Jesus, as the special itself takes glee in pointing out. This entire Christmas yarn is framed as a story that Charles is telling to Kaz as he lies sick in bed on Christmas Eve. A tale that Charles is forced to make up after Kaz aggressively rejects his reading of the Bible, which is frankly pretty boring and does have a very disappointing ratio of begatting to actual action. Later on, Kaz's visiting Aunt Angelique, played by Angelique Kiddo, offers to say grace over their opulent Christmas dinner, only for Aunt Agatha to say, "No thanks, this is a godless household," while sitting directly under a painting of Jesus being pulled off the cross. Unlike her, Pink Christmas is self-aware enough to know that the specter of Christian mythology and iconography will inevitably hang over any Christmas special or movie, and it does its best to acknowledge that for the people who care, without letting the tired debate over the reason for the season overtake its central narrative, like it does in so many of these movies. Because Neo Yokio is well aware that Jesus lost that fight the first time Coca-Cola put Santa in an ad. No, this story is all about the secular spirit of giving and coming together with your friends and family, and how that simple, wholesome message can easily be co-opted by the rich in order to make them richer. The special starts with Kaz trying to hunt down the perfect Secret Santa gift for his perennial most eligible bachelor rival, Arcangelo, not because he wants to make him happy or be a good friend, but because he knows that if he doesn't flex with a perfect gift, he'll be made a laughingstock on national television. And And really, isn't that what Christmas is all about? Agatha certainly thinks so, as she has him signing thousands of Christmas cards for the Neo Yokio rich to throw up on their fridges because you can't buy that kind of penetration. Lacking both the time and shits he'd need to give to acquire a proper gift for Arcangelo, Kaz enlists the help of Herbert, the show's recurring store clerk character, played by a very enthusiastic Richard Ayoade, to help him hunt down the perfect gift. A task that Herbert, a man who idolizes the rich and famous and thinks that capitalism is just the bee's knees, is all too happy to take on, and which he succeeds at almost immediately, finding an antique pocket watch and demon detector that just happens to be Arcangelo's lost family heirloom. Not that any of his efforts matter, because all along, Arcangelo's true aim was to use the nationally televised Secret Santa exchange, God damn you, Jaden Smith, for making me say that sentence, as a platform to launch a hit single dedicated to his best friend Kaz, and a Give From The Heart hashtag campaign to get people to stop spending money on Christmas presents, which is really just a ploy to draw more attention to his podcast and get people to spend the money they would have spent on those expensive gifts on experiences instead, specifically the experience of watching his very expensive Christmas show on Broadway. But don't worry, you can get 5% off orders over $200 with the offer code FUCKCommercialGoods. Meanwhile, outside of the trendy rich people bubble, the sudden boycott of commercial goods everywhere on Christmas Eve, the busiest day of the retail season, has not great side effects for Herbert, who is the only Bergdorf Goodman employee to man the doors all day while his coworkers head to the park to smoke weed, and is rewarded for his loyalty and efforts when Bergdorf-chan, the kawaii computer waifu that runs his store, fires his ass and kicks him to the curb.
You understand, Herbert, don't you?
Of course, I would hate for my salary to jeopardize your profit margins.
Distraught, Herbert tries to end his life by jumping from the roof of the store, only to be saved by a powerful pink demon and offered a chance to destroy the city that used and discarded him. A chance that, after some consideration, he gladly takes. This leads into a few pretty dang fun action scenes, and eventually a confrontation in the Neo Yokio underground between Herbert and Kaz. And in that climactic battle, Kaz ultimately decides to let the pink demon swallow up the city and usher in the apocalypse because he's sick to death of Aunt Agatha's social climbing and money-grubbing bullshit. A surprisingly ambiguous ending that's pretty damn fitting for an anime movie, but also not the kind of thing that the sick, bedridden Kaz in the real world wanted to hear in his Christmas bedtime story. This is not subtle satire by any stretch of the imagination, but it is really goddamn funny at times, and the special presents a more nuanced exploration of the commercialization of Christmas than most other media that's ever tried to tackle the subject. It chooses not to outright condemn commercialism or even its co-opting of the holiday per se, which would be a tad hypocritical since the special itself is a commercial product that uses Christmas nostalgia to sell you Toblerones, but rather those who push others down to lift themselves up socially and financially, and those who try to manufacture authenticity for their own profit. Be it the social elites who make a literal show out of gift giving, or Arcangelo with his cynical cash grab of a Christmas spectacular. Of course, Neo Yokio is, in itself, just as fake and bougie as anything that it lampoons, but at least it knows that, and I think that the way it stays sincere about the faults and the good points in its subject matter, as well as in itself, is what makes this Christmas special work. It's not exactly a feel-good picture, but I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be putting this special on again next year when I feel like a laugh. Unfortunately, I don't think I can say the same for Aggretsuko's We Wish You a Metal Christmas, which is not to say that I didn't love it. It's a take on Christmas perfectly in line with Aggretsuko's depressing, hyper-real portrayal of adult life. A quest not to save Christmas or even have a perfect Christmas, but simply to make a night that everyone expects to be really special fall somewhere short of a total disaster. It's a tidy little epilogue to the first season of Aggretsuko that ties up a few loose ends while laying the groundwork for what's sure to be a painfully relatable second season, and I'd say it's essential viewing for any fan of the anime. And I am really happy that they came up with a good excuse for telling a mid-season story instead of making us wait for the whole next run of episodes to be done, but I don't think that it feels particularly seasonal. Then again, that is kind of the point of the special, that at the end of the day, Christmas Eve is just that, another day, and that if you can manage to have a good meal and enjoy the company of people you care about in your off hours, you can can probably make it a pretty good one. It's not exactly an original message for a Christmas special. Don't ruin your Christmas by making too big a deal of it, but Aggretsuko does at least approach it from a novel, social media savvy angle that I genuinely haven't seen before. The special picks up right where season 1 ended, with Haida making his dramatic sickbed confession to Retsuko, only for her to reject him seconds later because she only likes him as a friend. A pretty painful moment, both for Haida and the show's many shippers, but not exactly a difficult outcome to predict, given how the show's reality trends toward disappointment. Retsuko has never pictured Haida like that, and it'll take her time to come around to liking him as more than a friend, if she ever does at all, because sometimes those friends of yours who you just know are perfect for each other never actually get together. That's just life. And life goes on. We jump forward to a week before Christmas as Haida wakes up from a nightmare about that rejection, which indicates he's not taking it the best, and not much has changed around the office since then. Tone is still an overbearing asshole, and everyone working under him is still just trying to get by. Although Retsuko has picked up a new hobby, Instagramming, which she's being coached in by the office's resident expert, Tsunoda, of course. Having given up on finding companionship for the time being, Retsuko has taken to seeking validation from random online strangers in the form of anonymous likes, which is something I certainly can't relate to at all. She's started letting her meal choices be dictated by what makes for cute photographs rather than what actually tastes good.
What the heck? I paid 1,800 yen for this?
And with Christmas fast approaching and the eyes of the world upon her, well, the eyes of her friends and coworkers and a few dozen random thirsty Japanese dudes at least, she's starting to feel increasing pressure to make her holiday special, or at least make it look special, in order to soak up those likes. Unfortunately, she doesn't have any plans for the evening because, you know, she's Retsuko, so she finds herself scrambling at the last minute to find someone to do something Instagram-worthy with on Christmas Eve. Haida, meanwhile, spends his day trying and failing to work up the nerve to ask her to join him and Feneko at his favorite punk rock bar's Christmas party. It's one of those classic ironic scenarios where both could solve the other's problems really easily if only Haida could actually get the words out, or if Retsuko would stop thinking about glamorous Instagram opportunities for half a second and focus on how she could actually have fun that night. It's a pretty harsh look at how social media obsession can turn what's supposed to be a nice night into a nightmare, and the ending shows how the healthy choice is often to simply go offline and enjoy yourself instead of fretting about it. I'm honestly a little bit surprised that Instagram let them do product placement in this episode. Like I said, this is a really good episode of Aggretsuko. It does a good job of teaching its object lesson and of resetting the scales on Retsuko and Haida's will they, won't they dynamic, while providing just enough hope in the form of Washimi's subtle acknowledgement of his feelings to keep that ship sailing until the next season drops. But as a Christmas special, the festive themes feel more like tacked on set decoration than anything else, though they do open up some great gags involving Tone and Kabae's kids, and with a few tweaks, I think that just about any holiday or big event could have been used in Christmas's place. So while I will probably be rewatching this episode somewhere down the line, it will probably only be when it comes time to revisit the show as a whole, not as part of any specific Christmas tradition. I really like the episode. I think it's extremely relatable, especially as a guy who does social media for a living, but it's just not a Christmas tradition, you know? But Tokyo Godfathers is a great Christmas tradition, and here's why. Tokyo Godfathers is a movie about a girl named Kyoko. It's also about a girl named Kyoko, but mostly it's about a girl named Kyoko. A little baby found abandoned in a pile of trash on Christmas Day by a motley trio of homeless runaways who subsequently embark on a crazy journey across snow-laden urban Tokyo to return her to her mother. Kyoko's three saviors are Gin, a grumpy old man who ran away from his family after racking up debts to booze and gambling, Hana, a trans woman who ended up on the streets after running away from her job as a singer at a drag bar, and Miyuki, a young woman who ran away from home after she stabbed her father over giving up her cat. Although, really, it would be more accurate to call Kyoko their savior, since in their quest to return her home, they each end up coincidentally finding their own way back to their old homes. And perhaps miraculously would be a better choice of words, too. See, Tokyo Godfathers makes a habit of breaking one of the most fundamental rules of storytelling. Generally speaking, it's okay for a film's characters to get into trouble through unlucky coincidences, but audiences tend to want to see them work their own way out of trouble with their own hands. In this film, though, it's mostly mistakes and conscious decisions on the hero's parts that land them in hot water, while they tend to escape danger and find happiness through seemingly blind luck. The trio ends up trudging miles across snowy train tracks because Miyuki makes a conscious decision to hop out of the train window in order to escape her dad, for instance, but right when they're reaching their wits' end trying to find items to care for Kyoko after that, they just happen upon a grave offering containing everything they could possibly need to take care of a baby, including a full pack of diapers. Miyuki and Hana place Kyoko in mortal danger by mistakenly handing her off to a woman who kidnapped her, but right when it seems like that decision will end in Hana and Kyoko's death, a powerful gust of wind comes from out of nowhere to lift them up and gently drop them to the ground. Through all of this, somehow the film still remains satisfying, and their victories still feel earned. And that's partly because they really work for the things that they want, even if their efforts tend to fall a little bit short, but mostly it's because there's a logic to all of the good things that happen to them. Hana says at the start of the film that Kyoko is a blessed child, a messenger from God, and in the film's narrative, it's pretty clear that God is protecting them and guiding them where they need to be. Moreover, he's rewarding their good deeds. When they save the Yakuza Don who's about to be crushed by his car, they're brought to his mansion and given a lead on where to go next. When Gin gives up the 30,000 yen that he had saved up for his daughter in order to pay for Hana's hospital bills, he and his daughter, other Kyoko, are almost instantaneously reunited. Even at the very end, Gin's kindness in helping the old homeless man, which at first seems to only reward him with misery at the hands of some young punks looking to beat up hobos for kicks, is rewarded with a lottery ticket worth 50 million yen. And of course, Miyuki's heroism in trying to save Kyoko is what ultimately leads her to being reunited with her father. There is very literal deus ex machina at work in this story, but this kind of Christmas story is the only kind of place where that really feels appropriate. And like I said at the top of this video, I am not a religious person by any stretch of the imagination. I don't believe that the real world works like this, but in this film, Satoshi Kon has crafted a narrative driven by miracles that are just subtle and believable enough that I can see his world the way that people who do believe see this one. And in a sea of Christmas movies that beat you over the head with their Christian overtones and messages, it is really nice to watch one from a director who's confident enough to let his view of the world speak for itself. And it helps that it actively mocks the fake, preachy bullshit of organized religion with an opening scene where a pastor preaches to a crowd of bored homeless people who just want to get church over with and eat a free dinner. That cheap plastic baby Jesus face has got to be one of the most profound and hilarious opening shots in anime history. And luckily, unlike a lot of other Christmas schlock, there's far more to enjoy in Tokyo Godfathers than just the obvious Three Wise Men allegory. Its heroes are as lovable and memorable as any you'll meet in anime, sharing great screen chemistry with each other and undergoing powerful individual arcs as they grow from spiteful, bitter, and guarded to being more open and caring, and the film's supporting cast is absolutely great. The script is just packed with wit and warmth, and Satoshi Kon, as he always did, cut the whole thing together into a finely tuned machine, with each shot, transition, and scene serving a clear purpose. In this case, that purpose is often just to make you laugh. Tokyo Godfathers marks Kon's one crack at comedy, and his distinctive directorial and editing style turns out to be just as effective at creating humor as it is at eliciting horror. Those comedic chops are helped immensely by killer animation that presents itself as realistic and detailed initially, but often distorts itself in ways reminiscent of Showa-era comedy anime like Osumatsu-san. But the value of Tokyo Godfathers doesn't just come from the sometimes dark laughs. This is a remarkably kind-hearted film that celebrates diversity. Hana may ooze stereotypical camp and sass, her friends may misgender her, and her queerness may be played for laughs a lot of the time, but at the end of the day, she never compromises on who she is, and who she is saves a goddamn baby's life. The kindness of her mother and sisters at Angel Tower likewise saved Gein's life, and they're shown to be one of the tightest-knit families in the whole film. Tokyo Godfathers isn't entirely kind, though. It has harsh words for the people of Tokyo and their casual, abject cruelty toward the homeless. The over-the-top, disgusted reactions of the train passengers to the mere presence of our homeless heroes, as I remind you they are trying to save a baby, really hammers home how unfair life is in Tokyo for the destitute and how little regard the people of Tokyo give toward them. And the scene of the youngsters going homeless hunting for fun is just sickening. It is also really worrying how many anime have scenes like that in them these days. The film's uncompromising empathy toward homeless people still makes it stand out in the Japanese media landscape today. And when it first released in 2003, a year after Japan passed its very first law to support the homeless in an official capacity, its message was even more important. And appropriate for a religious film, given that it's been religious and Christian groups leading the charge to help and protect the homeless over there. But the ultimate message of the film isn't really religious at all. At its heart, Tokyo Godfathers is a touching series of vignettes that highlights the importance of family in all of its forms, be it the ersatz family built by Hana, Gein, and Miyuki, the Yakuza family coming together for other Kyoko's wedding, Kyoko's family out looking for her, or even the broken family that kidnapped her from them in the first place. Or, of course, the old families that Hana, Gein, and Miyuki are reunited with at their journey's end. In all of these cases, the film acts as a testament to the power of forgiveness, generosity, and love. And when that message really hits in its big reunion scenes, it's more than enough to bring a tear to the eye. That kind of wholesome, unambiguous cheer is exactly what I want come holiday season, and Tokyo Godfathers is the rare film that delivers on it while still actually being, you know, a good movie. In fact, I'd say it's just about the perfect Christmas comedy. I think it delivers on almost anything that anyone, religious or not, could want from a film about this holiday. And if it's not part of your yearly Christmas tradition yet, well, it ought to be. That's pretty much all I've got for anime recommendations right now, but if you're looking for something a little more text-based this holiday season, then I suggest you check out Bookwalker's Christmas coinback deal. Between now and Christmas Day, depending on how much you spend, you can get between 20 and 50% of the value of any manga or light novel ebooks that you buy back as Bookwalker coins that you can then put toward future purchases, effectively making all purchases over 10,000 yen buy two get one free between now and the end of the sale. On top of that, Kodansha's entire digital library of over 1,800 manga is on sale right now. So if you're interested in reading the likes of Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju, Attack on Titan, Ghost in the Shell, Otakoi, Land of the Lustrous, or Alita Battle Angel, now is a really good time to pick up some of those sets. And if you want to save a little bit more on your way to hitting that 10,000 yen target, you can use the promo code BASEMENT at checkout for an additional 600 yen toward any order. Just head to global.bookwalker.jp or download the Bookwalker app on your mobile phone to get reading today. But before you go do that, let me know in the comments below what anime, movies, games, you name it, are part of your annual Christmas media tradition. And while you're down there, I sure would appreciate it if you'd hit that like button, assuming you like the video, and the subscribe button if you want to see more videos from Mother's Basement every single week. I'm Geoff Thew, professional shitbag, signing out from my mother's basement.